G'day there, once again viewers, this is your mate Kamikaze78 here, coming to you guys with some more Planetside 2 content. Today guys, we're going to spend some time taking a look at the new Esamir that is currently available on the public test server as part of the Shattered Warpgate update. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, I recommend jumping over to my overview video of the development livestream that took place about a week ago that went over all of the announcements surrounding the Shattered Warpgate update. But the long and short of it is that Esamir is getting some major changes in line with the events that are taking place within the narrative of Planetside 2, and today we're going to be exploring some of the major changes to the continent as a result. Now, just to clarify guys, we aren't going to be going over every square meter of the continent in great detail because, quite simply, we'll be here for far too long. Instead, we're going to list off the bases that are new, have been changed and removed in this iteration of the continent, and then we'll wrap up things by highlighting some of the major talking points for further discussion, things like overall design and game flow. It should also be noted that we aren't going to be discussing the more thematic sections of the continent like the Shattered Warpgate territory. We're going to be mainly focusing on bases where most of the combat is going to take place along the lattice links. But with all that aside, let's firstly list off the bases that are brand new to the Esamir battlefield with the Shattered Warpgate update currently on the public test server. Firstly, we have the Boulder Amp Station, a new 3-point amp station located on the southwestern side of the continent that directly links to the ISA tech plant. We also have the Jord Amp Station, another 3-point amp station located on the southeastern side of the continent. It should also be pointed out that these new amp stations do not operate like the Freya Amp Station located in the northwest. What I mean by that is that capturing capture points here doesn't provide a hard spawn location for attackers. Sunderer spots are going to be pretty key here. Our next new territory here is Excavion DS-01E, a new 3-point facility located in the southeast and features the exact same layout as an amp station but has a large drilling looking building in the center that is investigating an energy geyser that has popped up on the continent. Light assaults are going to have a decent amount of fun here. Eastwake Harbridge is a brand new single point base that is extremely open and features few buildings and neighbors the new Eastern Warpgate directly. Aircraft will be powerful here and it will also be hard to attack and hold. Vidar Observation Site is a new open area single vehicle capture point territory. This base is one of the new territories that allows for construction around the capture point and features one of the best seats in the house of the Shattered Warpgate before having to cross the river. BL4 Recovery Point is the same deal as Vidar, another new single vehicle capture point territory for vehicles to battle over. We also have Genidine Gardens, a new single point small outpost that sports a densely built environment that infantry lovers will enjoy a bunch. This is probably the one new base of the bunch that most closely reflects the base design style that we have come to know on Esamir until now. And those right there guys are the brand new facilities that we will have to fight among, but there is also a bunch of adjustments to existing bases that we know and may or may not love. And get ready because there are some doozies in here. Let's kick off with the elephant in the room and what has probably been the most controversial change when it comes to Esamir of the bunch here. All 3 biolabs have been destroyed as a result of the Warpgate shattering. However, Ymir and Andvari still remain in play and are now territories that provide vehicle capture points within the wrecks of what the biolabs once were. Considering the very open-air nature around the capture points, taking these territories is going to require some combined arms teamwork. It should also be noted that from what I can tell in this build of this update to the continent, there are no hard spawns located at these bases. The ISA tech plant, one of Esamir's key battlegrounds and landmarks, has also received a bit of a touch-up. Aesthetically, the facility remains mostly the same. It is now, however, the first and only 3 capture point tech plant on Araxis. There is one capture point on the ground floor near the Colossus terminal, a capture point near the original location with some adjustments being made to allow for improved battle flow, and a new capture point located on the gangway that is below the flight deck of the tech plant. Interestingly, cover has been added to the new and previously exposed gangway that makes up the C point now, which gives infantry some cover from aerial attack. It does now, however, prevent galaxies from being able to easily drop troops off thanks to size limitations. Some new strategies are going to have to be employed to capture this fortress now on the continent. The Traverse is next on our long list of bases to cover here, and this used to be one of the few bases in the game that sported a single capture point on a long bridge. That bridge has since been destroyed, now with the capture point being present in the gully below and taking the form of a vehicle capture point. There is a hard spawn still present at the base, and new roads have been created for easier traversal into the gully below. This is going to make for an interesting location to battle at as a result. And now we have Snowshear Watchtower. This used to be a prevalent tower base located on the northwestern side of the continent, but that has now since changed. Snowshear Watchtower has become Snowshear Fort, with the tower being destroyed, and now sports open field expanses. This remains to be a 3-point base, with 1 point now residing outdoors, with the remaining 2 residing in neighbouring buildings. The Mani Tower has now become the Mani Processing Plant and has had a major overhaul. It's now a 3-point base that, while still features a tower, all capture points are located in separate buildings on the northern outskirts of the base. There's no more trying to capture an A point that is located right under that mischievous tower here, so defenders, you're going to have your work cut out for you here now. Jaeger's Fist is now also a slightly larger facility that has had a complete and total facelift, and is also now sporting a new and improved spawn room for added protection against vehicle shelling that the facility will often cop during live play. Nock Communications is also a small outpost that has been changed with the intention of accommodating for the new location of the Eastern Warpgate, and is now something of an open plan base with little wall and building cover entirely. Aurora Materials has simply been rotated, but for the most part retains its original layout, so nothing too crazy to report here other than that rotation. And Echo Valley Substation now incorporates a new layout that finds itself dug into the cliffside right below a massive collection of piping infrastructure. One thing that players have already noticed here at this base is the proximity of the spawn room to the capture point room, which is going to make for some pretty intense fighting at this base and gives defenders a pretty easy chance to fight back if required. Now, those right there are some pretty major changes to some pretty notable facilities on the continent that we have fought at on many occasions, but many bases have actually been removed from play entirely. Some to make room for the facility reworks that we've gone over before, but also some have been deactivated as a result of the Warpgate explosion. The bases that are now out of play are listed as follows: North Point Station, Stillwater Watch, Mani Fortress, Mani Biolab, Not Amp Station, Not Research Camp, Not Substation, Geological Survey Camp, East River Sky Station, Eli Amp Station, Eli Barracks Complex, Everett Supply & Co. All small outpost bases that neighbour Freya Amp Station, all small outpost bases that neighbour Isotech Plant, all small outpost bases that neighbour Ymir Biolab, now Ymir Ruins, and Anvari Frozen Reservoir. And just because I can see this coming in the comment section now, I have not forgotten about any of the other bases. As of right now, all the bases that are listed here on your screen are not undergoing any major gameplay changes from what I can tell. Now, there may be some small aesthetic changes being made here, but nothing worth going over in huge detail in this video. Feel free to pause the video now to go through the list in your own time. But anyway, there's a few key things I want to discuss as takeaways from the changes that we are seeing on Esamir and how they could be adopted into future continents. The addition of underground hard spawns at BL4 Recovery Point and Vida Observation are great in my opinion. The sole vehicle capture point bases that we've seen across the other continents before have often been easy to attack, and unless a player set up a player-made base already and the spawning system was on your side, they were pretty hard to reactively defend in an alert, for example. Adding these hard spawns at least gives players the chance to spawn in directly no matter what the situation is like, and hey, construction aficionados can now actually build bases around these pre-existing hard spawns to create small defensible outposts. It would be cool to see this transferred to more bases on more continents, as it gives the construction system an ability to more actively participate in more engagements. Now, another key thing I want to talk about in this video is the Biolab situation. It's been one of the more polarizing elements of the update within the community since its announcement. Some love it, some hate it. And look, I'm not going to spend the time in this video talking about whether it is objectively a good thing or a bad thing, because, well, for one, I don't know how these new areas are going to play out yet. Considering the sandbox nature of Planetside 2, there are plenty of ways to play the game, and some of the bases in the game will suit those playstyles differently. Some love the open-air engagements that take place in fields with tank shells zipping centimeters away from your skull and aircraft screeching overhead, and some prefer just dropping onto a base with 48 mates regardless of the allied population balance to dominate the fight, and some prefer the controlled infantry-only environments that the biolabs provide. I will say personally, not objectively, personally, that I'm looking forward to the biolabs being removed on Esamir. For me, they more often than not resulted in infantry meat grinders that revolve around a couple of doors and choke points, often killing any actual territory movement and battle flow. But again, I know that some people just like to turn their brain off, farm some infantry-related directives without having to worry about vehicles intruding. Hell, I've been of that mindset before in the past. For those who aren't happy with the removal of biolabs, just keep in mind that your other continents will still have biolabs around, and at the end of the day, there are still going to be plenty bases on Esamir that provide decent infantry-focused battles. Once the continent goes live, we'll have a better idea of how the lacking presence of biolabs changes the flow of battle, whether it be for the better or the worse, and right now we've just got to see how that plays out. Additionally, there's been a lot more design focus on implementing vehicle capture points into more bases that were traditionally only for infantry. The Traverse is a great example of this. Now yes, the Traverse previously was a base that could be heavily influenced by the presence of vehicles, but now vehicles have the ability to directly fight over the capture point, which gives them an actual goal besides turning the game into their own personal farming simulator. A lot of people will know that I truly believe in the combined arms nature of this game, and I also believe that there should be no direct separation of interaction between all the different playstyles. Infantry should interact with vehicles, both air and ground, and vice versa. But by giving more bases the vehicle capture points, it allows vehicles to actually have an objective to fight over. It gives them a purpose at the fight that directly works alongside the infantry that are fighting in the exact same hex over the neighbouring infantry capture points. Right now, the only real goal vehicles have is to help infantry get to the next base along the lattice link, whether that be through Sunderer deployment or Galaxy drop, and then to simply shell the hell out of the defenders into their spawn. Having these active objectives keeps vehicles busy a little longer and avoids the hesh spams that we see a lot in infantry fighting environments. And that right there also brings us to one final observation I want to make about what's coming up with the Esamir rework. The fact that the territories are much larger on average. I mean, take this for example. Freya Amp Station and Isotech Plant have both absorbed all of their respective satellite bases to create one larger territory. Now, if you guys have been with this channel for a long time, you may remember the video that we did a while ago on base design and game flow. I did it back in like 2015. Jesus, that was a long time ago. But back in that video, I pushed the idea of satellite bases being absorbed into major facilities with the goal of creating larger scale territories that had a lot more capture points to make capturing them, firstly, feel more like a faction-wide effort that takes not only some time but also some coordination from multiple outfits across a larger territory to capture successfully. But secondly, require the work of all faction assets, infantry, air, and armor all working together on this one territory. And now that the devs have shown that they're willing to make territories larger, I would honestly love to see them double down on this by placing more capture points around the place, allow player-made bases to be built around them, focus on creating some objective-driven battles that take place on a larger scale without trying to force hundreds of players into one small room that is only really fit to house 48 at most. I just really think that that would help to add to the sense of scale that Planetside really aims to drive home with its gameplay, but I don't know, maybe it's just me. In its current form now, however, I do anticipate that we will see factions being stalled on tiny outposts less often that normally see larger forces dominating a small base with little resistance. My prediction is that the battle will flow a little more naturally from facility to facility on this new Esamir rework and gives defenders more opportunities to fortify a base and prepare for the next engagement before the attackers reach it. But guys, with all that said, that kind of wraps up everything I wanted to talk about with this new Esamir rework. Being honest guys, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's coming next. I'm very much looking forward to playing the new Esamir, and I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, a backhanding the like button would go a long way, and if you're new to the channel, consider backhanding the subscribe button whilst you're at it to keep up to date with all things that we are releasing in the future. As always guys, social media links are linked in the description down below that you can go check out, including my Twitch and my Twitter. Be great to see you guys over there as well. Once again guys, hope you've had a good day. Peace out, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Catch you later guys. Bye bye.